GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I have no idea what is going on with my microphone or what is going on with OBS right now, but this is absolutely infuriating, and the microphone just keeps not detecting audio for some reason. I don't know why, but here we are again with the third segment, and I'm going to give a quick recap of the rest of the NBA games for those of you guys who are still tuned in. Again, I apologize for the inconvenience, but this is unreal, and I've never had this problem before, and I don't understand why it's happening right now. But regardless, let's just get into a recap of the rest of the games that ended up happening last night, and the rest of the games that ended up happening over the weekend, if my phone would decide to load all of the games, because, I kind of need that. So, obviously, there were a lot of games that went down over the weekend, and a lot of important games that went down on Friday. Weren't that many games on Saturday, though, so it was relatively quiet on Saturday. There weren't my Brooklyn Nets played on Saturday. I'm not talking about them. God, no, I'm not talking about them. So, let's start with let's see, what do we think? What was the most popular? Yes, I think the most popular game over the weekend was the Lakers going up against Phoenix, simply because LeBron James was actually playing in that Lakers game instead of sitting out against Golden State Warriors previously. So, the Phoenix Suns beat the Los Angeles Lakers 123-113. Obviously, not something that the Lakers need at the moment. They've been winning recently, but now they're back to losing, and they sort of have to keep on the track and the pace of winning if they want to stay alive in the play-in. But obviously, the Suns lacked in Bradley Beal in this game again, but it was still good enough for the team to prevail in the end. The Lakers, they did not have much support from the rest of the players as usual for LeBron, and LeBron ended the game with 28, 12, and 7, and along with 2 steals. Anthony Davis ended the game with 22 and 14. D'Angelo Russell ended the game with 20 points. Austin Reeves ended the game with 14, and Roy ended the game with 13. Now, against a team like Phoenix, that's not enough scoring to get from the rest of the bench and the rest of the players to get the team over that hump. Spencer Dinwiddie played 23 minutes and he only scored 3 points. Now, what is that? If you shouldn't be playing him for that long if he's going to be shooting like that. That's my personal opinion. Use the rest of your bench. But regardless, Austin Reeves, he did not shoot the ball really well. Neither did Taurean Prince. He did not shoot the ball well either. And obviously, against a team like Phoenix, they're going to burn you if you aren't efficient and you don't bring your A game on the offensive side of the ball. Because defense is arguably the one thing that they all lack. Well, not all of them. Some of them can play defense, but defense is arguably one of the facets of their game that is a weak point. But with that in mind, Kevin Durant ended the game with 22 points. He wasn't that efficient tonight. He was 7 for 20. Grayson Allen showed up on the stat sheets going 8 for 17 with 24 points. And Devin Booker, of course, also showed up on the stat sheets getting 21 points. Royce O'Neal and Jusuf Nurkic both shot 7 of 12. Royce ended with 20, but Nurkic ended with 18. So, obviously, this Suns team, they've been in a relatively good direction. It's hard to really put them, honestly. They're not that much of a threat, but at the same time they can be. It's weird. It's if Kevin Durant goes off, which he most likely can on any given night, then I feel they could beat anybody. But again, it's that defense is really what scares me with this team, because it's they're not really that good of a defensive team. And if they're not that good of a defensive team, then Luka is going to torch them yet again. And it's like, if they end up matching up with him in the playoffs, that is. But regardless, it's really difficult for me to like pinpoint exactly like where these Phoenix Suns stand. And obviously the Lakers, like, they need to get better. They need to win these games. These games are very, very important, and like, they cannot afford to like lose these big games. They absolutely cannot afford it. And like, it's performances like these where it's like they need the rest of like the bench, where it's like it's just LeBron and Anthony Davis out there yet again. And how long is this going to go on? It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense to me. Another game, actually, quite recently, the Bucks have been winning a lot of these games over the weekend. On Friday, they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 112-107. I actually watched that game, and that was a really good game. I thought the Bucks were going to blow it in the end. I can't even lie. I thought the Bucks were going to blow it because going into the fourth, they were up by 20 points, and then the Timberwolves slowly, you know Doc Rivers and his teams, like, they slowly were able to crawl in that fourth quarter, and like they made a couple of threes, and like Doc Rivers wasn't calling timeouts when he should have been calling timeouts. The team was able to get momentum. Slowly but surely, they were able to crawl all the way back into this game, to the point where it came down to whether or not if Damian Lillard could hit the clutch shot, which he did, and it ended up closing the game out. And so far, like, this team, they came out of the All-Star game, and they've came out of All-Star break, and they've been winning. So we might be seeing like a turnaround for the Bucks now, and we might be seeing them go back on track to how they were with Adrian Griffin as their coach. Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo ended the game with 33 and 13. Obviously, those are very elite numbers coming from Giannis Antetokounmpo on only 13 shots as well. Damian Lillard ended the game with 21, 10, and 9, almost a triple-double. I'm very surprised. It's very rare to see Damian Lillard get close to a triple-double, given how he can't really rebound, especially on this team with Giannis Antetokounmpo. But Brook Lopez ended the game with 16, and Michael Beasley ended the game with 14. Now, obviously, like, with how good, like, with the fact that they did win this game, it is a little bit concerning that the Wolves were able to, like, catch up, and, like, they just ran out of time. And I don't want to jump the gun entirely yet on whether or not the Bucks have turned it around. I need to see a few more games coming from them, because, like, again, this is you guys know how I feel about Doc Rivers, and it's like, it's really tough for now I'm just getting news. Hold on. Okay, so with that out of the way, the Timberwolves, I was just pulling up the stat sheets. The Timberwolves ended up shooting the ball relatively poorly from 3. 13 for 35 from 3, and 43 of 98 from the field. 43 of 98 from the field, I guess, isn't that bad. Anthony Edwards ended the game with 28 points. Towns ended the game with 22 points. Rudy Gobert ended the game with 12 and 19. Karl-Anthony Towns also ended with 4 rebounds. I forgot to add that on there as well. Mike Conley ended the game with 9, 2, 2, and 2. So I guess you could say he had a triple-double. And that was basically all of the scoring that came in from the Timberwolves. And while, again, like, those star players that I mentioned, they scored the ball relatively well, they didn't really shoot the ball that well. And I believe that a lot of that shooting is mainly derived from that hideous fourth quarter where where the Bucks went on a 20-2 run at one point. But obviously, like, you know, the Bucks ended up winning this game. And the other game that they ended up winning over the weekend was against Philly. Now, obviously, given how Philly ended up losing Joel Embiid for a majority of this season, they should easily beat the 76ers without Joel Embiid in the starting lineup, and they did. Giannis Antetokounmpo ended the game with 30 points, 12 rebounds. Damian Lillard ended the game with 24 points. Malik Beasley ended the game with 20. And Brook Lopez ended the game with 11. Bobby Portis also made a showing on the stat sheet as well, getting 17 points. And the Sixers, so far, again, they haven't responded relatively well to the Joel Embiid's injuries, and it's a little bit frustrating given how, I really had high hopes for Philly, and I really thought that they were going to be able to make some noise going into this, but so far they haven't, and it's nothing but disappointment.